Hey drummers, how's it going, and welcome back to this week's exclusive lesson for you wonderful sponsors. Apologies, it's been a bit of time, but I don't know if you saw the last video I put up on YouTube. We caught the Rona, it was pretty nasty, then I was had to isolate, so I couldn't get to my drums. But I've been working on a few ideas because I didn't get a chance to play the drums too much for about 2.5 weeks. But we've got back, I've conjured up a few ideas. One of the things I've been looking at, this is kind of an old trick that I used to use on the bell of the ride. And it's an idea which I stole from Carey, where you've got that sort of I think this is actually maybe slightly easier because you're not having to worry about lifting your foot every 3 notes. But essentially what we're going to be playing is 16th notes on our right hand, playing like a half-time groove. So it's going to be like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So kicks on 1 and 3, snares on 2 and 4. But while we're playing that, we're going to be playing this little pattern where every 3 notes we're going to accent it. I'm going to use the stack for the majority of the lesson, but you can definitely use the bell of the ride for this. I do it all the time. So we'll go through it. You've only really got to learn a bar and a half. By the time you've done that, you end up sort of like repeating the same sticking pattern again. So once you've got that down, it's just a case of working out whether you want to play it as like a little 2-bar phrase. If you want to just keep it going for maybe like 8 bars, you can sort of settle into it quite nicely. Or we look at it as like a little 4-bar phrase where you could maybe use it in like a bridge or a different part of a song. You know, sort of using like little groups of 2 or 4, I think, are a little bit more necessary, because with this one, by the time the actual cycle ends, it lands on like the first beat of measure 3, or the first beat of measure 4. So you could either go off and do a drum fill there if you're playing in a song, but I think if you just want to sort of keep the groove going and sort of continue, you know, finish that cycle of 4 bars, then I'll show you how to do that. But it's pretty simple. Either way, if you like what you saw in the intro and you want to give this one a crack, stick around and I'll break it down. Here we go. Okay, so let's just start between the kickstand and the hi-hat and keep it a little bit sort of like quieter for now. But I'm just going to turn the snare off a tiny bit. All we're going to be playing with our kick and snare is, like I said, on beat 1 and 3 for the bass, and then on 2 and 4 for the snare. So we're just going to be using this. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. All right, so this might be quite a nice excuse just to sort of like get your right hand playing those 16ths nice and quick. We're actually going to play the whole thing up on the ride cymbal, which will sound like this. Okay, really simple. Snare's not sounding great today. And then we're going to start chucking in. I'm going to use a stack, but then I'll demonstrate it with the bell of the ride as well, just for anyone that hasn't got like some sort of like quick decay, brash little cymbal they can use. Because I'm not chucking in too many bass drums and snare drums. Of course, you can be like, you know, you can start throwing in extra bass drums if you like, but we're just going to keep it really stripped back. So we just got the kicks on 1 and 3 and snares on 2 and 4. So that 3 times now, because this is such a prominent voice that I don't want it sort of muddying the groove too much. It's just more of a case of getting the concept down, getting that muscle memory of your right hand going while you're just holding down like a really basic groove, which will get you through most songs depending on the tempo. So we're going to go through it. I've written this sort of crude thing down here where you can kind of see where all the accents should be. Now, by the time you get to beat 3 of measure 2, you've done the full cycle. So let's just count our way through that. I'm going to use the stack so it's nice and loud. I'm just going to I'll play it through, then I'll sort of explain how it's going to work. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. That should be your first target, just getting to beat 3 of the second measure, because like I said, once you've done that, you're going to land with the bass drum and the stack, or the bass drum and the bell, and then you're repeating exactly the same motion. So if we go through stupidly slow, obviously we're going to I'll play it on the bell for this one, and then we'll move it to the stack. We're going to go bell on the bass drum. Then we've got a bell on the up of beat 1, and then we're going to follow up with a snare on beat 2. And then we've got another bell on the and of beat 2, ride on its own. We've got a bass drum on beat 3, then we've got the bell on the E of beat 3, E, and then the bell is going to land with the snare, 4, E, and So that's measure 1. That's like 2/3 of the way there. Let's just speed that up a tiny bit. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay, if you can do that, you're nearly there. If we're carrying on into the next measure, we've got bass drum and just ride. So we've just done the stack, or sorry, the bell on the up of beat 4 of the previous measure. So we've got 2 sort of clean rides to go first. So we're going to go 1 E and 2 E and then we're on beat 3 where the bass lands with the bell. Okay, this time we're going to work all the way through beat 1 up to beat 3 of measure 2. I'm going to play this one on a stack so you can really hear where those ride cymbals are, but I'll count it out loud. So we've got 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3. Okay, tiny bit faster. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3. Now, like I said, once you get to beat 3, just repeat that same rhythm. So your ear will start picking on that ba tick cat t t cat t t cat t t t cat, and then you sort of start looping that round. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep playing it over and over again, and see if you can sort of spot where the actual connection is. It's always where the bass drum and the right hand land. Sorry, the bass drum and the stack land together. That's your loop. Okay, so here we go. Now, if we wanted to use this concept as like a 2-bar phrase, obviously we've got to finish off beats 3 and 4. So if we were to go from beat 3 of measure 2, obviously we're starting with the stack, so we've got 3 E and a 4 E and a crash. Okay, so you can then land that crash on beat 1. That would sound like this. Normal groove. Because your right hand's doing a lot of work, it might be easier to hit that downbeat of beat 1 if you're coming out of this particular idea with your left hand. Now, if I wanted to play this idea as a 4-bar phrase, all I'd have to do is play line 1, line 2, line 3, and then line 1 again, and then pop a crash, and then I'll come out of it. So that would sound like this: 1 E and up, and up, Okay, so you get that kabish as you go back into it. That sounds really nice. And they're the sort of kind of context that I use it in. Obviously in, what's the song? The Tool song, I think Eulogy. Something like that. Where he sort of keeps that going, sitting there under a little, playing it a little bit longer, sort of underneath like a little bridge in the song, where he's doing it with the open hi-hat. Okay, that sounds really nice as well, but I've done a video on that in the past. This just sort of brings a new light to it, especially using the bell. Let's just try playing it round. Yeah, let's just do a couple of bars of it on the bell, and then we'll switch to the stack, just so you can hear the difference. So, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that was just chucking a few extra kicks. If you want, once you've got the sheet music, just start editing your own bass drum patterns in there. Maybe I'll put a few additional ones to go with it. And depends how much time you end up with today. But that is the general idea. If you ever get stuck, just remember all you got to do is land the first bar and a half. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3. That is the cycle. All you're doing is just repeating that over and over again. But if you're playing in a song, you can naturally feel like you know, when there's going to be that change, when the tension builds up and you want to pop that crash and move off into something else, or whether it's just going to continue. So once you've got that pattern down and you've sort of developed the muscle memory and you can feel that reset every time, then after that it's just a case of just feeling your way through a song, and you can sort of maybe catch a few people off guard. The cool thing is, it's not going to interrupt the bass the bass player, the singer, the guitarist, or whoever else is in your band, because you've still got that boom, pa, boom, pa going underneath. Again, if you've got that like a bass drum pattern like boom, da, boom, boom, da, you can sort of like chuck it over the top of that. It gets a lot more complicated when you start doing that, but that's definitely something you can do. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop up there. I'm going to run through it like, we don't want to go too slow because we've gone through slow here. So we do maybe 100 BPM. If that feels too slow, I'll pop it up to 120. Then we'll go like maybe 150, and then we'll go up to like 180, where it starts to get, you know, quite challenging for your right hand, because obviously it's shifting around and it's got to be playing 16th notes at 180 BPM. Is it 16th notes? It might be something like that. It's fast. All right. So I'm going to pop up there and then I'll come and say goodbye. Here we go. All right. I've decided to go for 120 because it feels a bit nicer. We'll just do like a couple of bars of groove on the hi-hat. Nothing special there. And then we'll pop over to this. We'll do a 4-bar round. All right. So it's going to sort of resolve itself, and then we play a little bit more, and then we're going to get like a little tapish as the last note's going to be a staff on here, and then we'll get that crash of a downbeat. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to count it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go. Bell this time. Nice, that was 120. All right, same thing, this time 150 BPM. Here we go. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to push myself to the max on this one. So this is 180 BPM. We're just going to stick to the ride because the switch over is going to mess me up. So here we go. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright guys, so there it is. I hope you enjoyed that one. It's a really fun concept to play around with. Like I said, we've done it on the hi-hats where you're using your left foot to sort of get that sort of sound. But it sounds amazing because when you've got like a cymbal like this, maybe a china would do it, but if you sort of like weight it down, any kind of stack or the bell of your ride, just something that's going to really cut through and give the listener something to go, ooh, what's that? But once you know, you're just going to go around a bar and a half every time. It doesn't become too difficult, but it is effective. It's really good. It will throw people off when you first start playing it, which is also quite fun as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks once again for being sponsors. I've got 2 more lessons I've got planned and coming out. We're probably going to look at some double bass drum stuff because I've been slacking with that, but I'm getting back into it and starting to make a bit of progress again, which is good. And of course, if you have any suggestions or requests for any lessons you'd like to learn, I'll be more than happy to give them a go. So until next time, take care. Thank you very much for being sponsors, you beautiful bastards. All right, see you later. Bye.